missed the table. I've been at a lot of tables, but I missed this table.
There's something special about it.
Yes. So I want to read to you from John chapter 10, verses 1 through 10. Very truly I tell you, Pharisees, his favorite group. These are red letters, by the way. Anyone who does not enter the sheep pen by the gate, but climbs in by some other way, is a thief and a robber. The one who enters by the gate is the shepherd of the sheep. The gatekeeper opens the gate for him, and the sheep listen to his voice. He calls his own sheep by name, and he leads them out. When he has brought out all of his own, he goes on ahead of them, and the sheep follow him because they know his voice. But they will never follow a stranger. In fact, they will run away from him because they do not recognize the stranger's voice. Now, Jesus used this figure of speech, but the Pharisees didn't really understand what he was telling them. That also was not unusual. Therefore, Jesus said to them again, very truly, I tell you, I am the gate, or I am the door for the sheep. All who have come before me are thieves and robbers, but the sheep have not listened to them. I am the door. Whoever enters through me will be saved. They will come in and go out and find pasture. The thief comes only to steal, kill, and destroy. I have come that they may have life and have it to full abundance. So today, we're halfway through our series, What's in a Name, in which we've been looking at, for the last 2 weeks and 2 weeks before that, the I am statements that Jesus makes in John's Gospel. They each tell us something about Jesus' understanding of himself and of his calling. Beginning each phrase with the statement, I am, tells us even more. It's an echo of the ancient name of God given to Moses at the burning bush. Yahweh, I am who I am. And today, Jesus' statement from John 10 says, I am the door. Now, that's kind of a weird image in so many ways, unless you understand what he's trying to tell the Pharisees. You see, multiple shepherds would bring sheep to a sheep pen in Israel. And they would bring them in, and they would have them go in the gate, and then they would shut the gate. That's really an important thing. And I'm speaking to Crystal and Tyler right now, because they have sheep and they have animals and pigs, and I'm saying, don't forget to shut the gate.
They're not all that smart.
Because they're not smart enough to stay inside by themselves. But also, that gate is important because it keeps people out and keeps sheep in. Jesus is saying all of this because he wants us to understand at least 3 things, maybe more than 3, but at least 3. How many?
3.
3. Okay, good. I just wanted to make sure you were still listening, because I've been on vacation and I'm out of practice for 2 weeks. You see, one of the problems that had developed up until Jesus' time was that the Pharisees, his favorite class of people to have theological discussion with, the Pharisees had become gatekeepers in Israel. Now, they were a special kind of gatekeeper. Their gatekeeping meant keeping people out. And Jesus was addressing that in this statement. You see, most of the time when we think about a gatekeeper or a door or a doorkeeper, we think about its ability to keep people away. We don't think, if you have a Ring camera, you'll get this. Somebody comes and knocks at your door. They ring the doorbell. Your phone gets a buzz. Somebody's ringing your doorbell. And you pull up your phone and you look at it and you look at it and you go, that's not the UPS guy. That's not my son. Who the heck is that? You know, if phones were bigger, it'd be easier to tell. But so then you do the really fun thing. This is my favorite thing to do with the Ring camera system. You say, hello, can I help you? And they go, what? I don't know why. Ring cameras are everywhere. Maybe I'm the only one that ever does that, or Kathy's the only one that ever does it. But then they look at you and you figure out that you don't need what they're selling. They haven't said anything, but you know you don't need what they're selling. You don't need to make a donation to whatever they're collecting for you. You just say, well, thank you for stopping by, but please be on your way. And then you press the off button on your phone, and you hope they go away. Unless you're like us, we wait and make sure they go away. Yeah, just go away. So, the problem was, and one of the problems with most religious systems is that the leadership of most religious systems have figured out who they want in and who they don't want in. Religious systems are systems usually of exclusivity. I knew better than to put that in the sermon. You knew better. Yes. I shouldn't use words I can't pronounce in a sentence. I know, exclusivity. Yeah, they're picky. And they're judgmental. And if you don't live up to their standards, they don't want you in. That's the way most religious systems work. It's the way most political systems work. It's the way most systems work. Systems usually work to divide between the have and have-nots, the needs and need-not, whatever the break is. And they always side with the one who has, not the ones who have not. That may be the most prophetic thing I say today. I don't know. The reality is, Jesus understood that. Jesus understood that in every time he talked with the Pharisees, every time the Pharisees were in the audience, every time they were there watching him, he took their exclusiveness and changed it to, y'all come to the table. That's what that means. That's his invitation for us to y'all come. It's not about, and I can remember when churches used to use the table. And in fact, our church got its start a long time ago when Barton Stone invited Presbyterians to come to a Presbyterian table, and he got told on because they were the wrong kind of Presbyterian. I don't know how you know. Maybe you put it on your forehead, right? You know, I'm the wrong kind of Presbyterian. So he left the Presbyterian church right after they kicked him out.
You can't fire me, I quit.
Yeah, kind of. And our whole denomination was founded over who's invited to the table and who's doing the inviting. See, we want to think, and I've been in churches where this was the most holy thing in the world, maybe more holy than Jesus. It's a problem when that happens. But the table is just the symbol of Jesus welcoming us into his presence. So anyway, Jesus is talking to these Pharisees. He's trying to help them understand what the problem was, and he was like banging his head against the wall. They weren't getting it. It didn't matter what he said, how he said it, how many times he said it. Stop banging your head against the door, it doesn't help. Change how you do it. So Jesus says, I'm the door. Well, that was offensive to the Pharisees because they thought they were the gatekeepers. They thought they were the door. They were keeping people out. Jesus spent his entire 3 years of ministry saying, you all come with me. You all come and see. Come be. Come do. Come go with me. That phrase happens 100 times in the New Testament. Over and over again. Come and see. Come be. Come do. Come experience. Never once does Jesus say, stay out. Never once does Jesus say, you can't come to the table because you're not good enough. Never once does Jesus say, I'm only going to let people with money in. Never. You see, the purpose of gatekeepers is more than just keeping the bad out. And trust me, one of the reasons you have a gatekeeper is to keep the bad out. It is to be a protection against thieves and robbers and those who want to kill. But that's not the point of a faith system that Jesus puts into work. Jesus rejected that whole system, and he replaced it with himself saying, I am the door. So you know the first function of a door is protection. You close the door, you keep the bad out. The second function is an entrance. How many of you want people to come in the window? I don't see a single hand. Oh wait, there's one, two. Oh good. You know, stop that right now. Go in the door. I've been to both of your houses, they both have doors. In fact, I've been to most houses of the people in this room, and every house has a door. It's adorable, isn't it? Yeah. Remind me to send that joke. Jesus said, I've come that you can have life. He doesn't say, I've come so that I can condemn you. He doesn't say, I've come so you have to stay outside. He says, I've come so you can come inside and be with me. You know, every morning, the shepherds would lead sheep out of the pen. Why? Because they had to be fed. They had to be watered. They had to be taken care of. They needed some exercise. They needed to be out in the grassy fields so they could eat and grow and become. I want you to think about that image for a minute. We keep telling people, you know, churches have been guilty of this for as long as there have been churches. Y'all come in here and we'll feed you. And there's some truth to that. But if you really want to be fed, I'm going to tell you something. Go out there. Look at the grass. It's green. Look at the world around you. It's ready to nourish you. What do sheep eat? The greenest grass they can find. If you're in a field and there's green grass and brown grass, they're going to go to the green grass every time. They're going to eat that green grass until there's nothing left of the green grass, and then they'll go to the next green grass, and then the next, and eventually they'll eat the brown stuff, but they don't really like it. Why? Because the nourishment's in the green. Our nourishment, while we get challenged and instructed and led to go out, our real growth happens when we meet the public. And all of a sudden, every person went, oh gosh, the public. I don't like the public too well. Well, I want to tell you that on that boat that we were on, there was a lot of public. I was talking to somebody and I said,
a cruise is really a great idea for just about anybody unless you don't like people. If you don't like people, don't go on a cruise. Because people are going to like you. Or try. They're going to talk to you. They're going to learn your name. I am pretty sure I could go back to the boat and go to my breakfast spot and Roden is going to remember us. Thank you. Thank you, Kelly. We are challenged and fed out there. And we come back here for protection and instruction. But there is one more image I want to give you. And that is that door. Have you ever noticed doors make us feel good? Not when we're going out. You get home from a hard day at work. You get home from a hard time at the hospital. You get home from whatever, and you see your door, and you go, thank you, Jesus. I'm home. You see, Jesus was sending another message. Not only is he the door, the protector, and the door that lets you out to grow, he is the one that says, you're home. 7+ years ago, we decided as a church to be that, a place to belong. Jesus says, come to me, you're home. This is your place. This is your home. It is where we find rest. It is where we find reprieve. It is where we become who God has called us to be. So Jesus says, I am the door. He's going to protect us. He's going to nourish us and take us out. And he's going to welcome us home. Remember those 3 things this week. As you do one thing for me this week. How's that? I only want you to do one thing for me this week. I want you to find the person you're going to invite to worship on the street. Next week, I want you to put it on a little sheet of paper and hand it to me. And I'm going to pray for that person. And you're going to pray for that person. And that person's going to know they're loved, whether they come to worship or not. Let us pray. Oh God, as